Gothamites, and welcome back to the channel. I am the Crowlector, and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. You see, life has been lifing as of recently, and I'm a little bit behind on my reviews, but instead of allowing myself to get too rusty, I thought I would stretch my skills a little bit and do a tier list. Because who doesn't love a good old-fashioned tier list, right? If there is one thing we nerds love to do, it is compare opinions and pick fights with people who don't share ours. If you do happen to disagree with any of my opinions, because at the end of the day, these are only my opinions, give me your gripes and guffaws in the comments below. But as you can see, I'm going to start things off with one of my favorite Batman franchises ever, really, the Arkham series. I don't think I'd really realized until recently how divisive some of these designs were. And I can definitely see why. A lot of these designs fall into that sort of belt and buckle and pouch aesthetic, whatever you'd call that, which I personally really like. I like the kind of groundedness of it, but I can definitely see why some people wouldn't. It's not your traditional like tights and capes superhero aesthetic. Um, just a quick rundown. My ranking here is going to be I am Vengeance, which is our S tier, one of the best Batman quotes. This is the tippity top where all of these guys want to end up. Next, we have the Batusi, everyone's favorite bat dance. These are the ones that I really quite like. May not be entirely perfect, but are a lot of fun. Then we have the inmates are running the asylum. These are the ones that, on paper, may not be the best iteration, but there's still plenty that I enjoy. Because, just like if the inmates did run the asylum, depending on who you hung out with, it might still be an enjoyable time. Next, on the C tier, we have Jingle Bells, Batman Smells. Because at the end of the day, nobody likes a stinky, smelly bat suit. These are the guys that I could honestly take or leave. And then finally, Harvey. No. Which, of course, fans of the animated series will remember as sort of the ultimate declaration of defeat and sadness and all things negative. So we do not want to end up in this tier, but spoiler alert, a few of them probably will. I will be ranking both the visual aesthetic and the characterization of all of these characters. So without further ado, let's start with everyone's favorite sassy butler, Alfred Pennyworth. Now, I do really like the Arkham version of Alfred. I like that they, at least in the first couple games, made him a little bit younger. He's still got a bit of a bite to him, if you will. He's still very much that kind of loving father figure, but I do lament the fact that he doesn't appear physically, except in, I think, just Arkham Origins, maybe the Arkham City DLC. Other than that, he's just a voice in your ear, or he appears on a screen, which keeps him, unfortunately, from that top spot, but I'm going to have him dance the Batusi, because I really do like this version. Next, we have Anarchy, and just like I said, he very much embodies that kind of belt and buckle and pouch aesthetic. Very makeshift, a lot of these guys are, and especially him, because he is ultimately just a kid, a well-meaning kid who, does not go about things in the best way. He also falls into the trap that Alfred and a lot of these guys fall into, which is that a lot of his screen time is just that. He's on a screen, talking to you, taunting you, but not physically present really until that final battle. I do like the kind of like creepy anonymous-esque face mask, but I do think they could have done a lot more with him. So yeah, he's gonna go in B. I didn't hate him. I quite liked him. He was nice to see a fresh face for once. Then we have Jason Todd, the Arkham Knight himself. Now, this is a very divisive character in general. I personally did not mind the reveal so much, even if I did, like many, see it coming from a mile away. I could have gone, I think, with maybe like a Hush style fake out, or just not making it so obvious. But from a physical standpoint, I do really like the Arkham Knight design. The kind of electronic eyes, the sort of pseudo bat cowl with the ears, which you can't see here, but then the camo underneath, especially because it is Jason Todd, I really like that you can tell he took what he learned from Batman in his time as in the Bat family and kind of turned it on its head a bit. He kind of bastardized the Bat methods, if you will. Um, Still, as a character, he kind of fell flat for me. Um, but overall, I think I'm going to give him a B. Next, we have the Red Hood Arkham Knight design, and this one I really do not care for. Some of the most interesting parts of the Arkham Knight, again, the eyes and the little bat ears and everything, they took away for this one. I also really liked the blue, whereas this one's just the black and red. It just kind of comes off more as like should have been maybe like a thug for Arkham Knight versus Arkham Knight himself. I did not. Do I hate it? Do I hate it? Do I hate it? Or do I just kind of not? I'm not. He's smelly. This is Jason at his most angry and most smelly, but I guess it could have been worse. Next, Azrael from Arkham City. Azrael, I've seen, is one of the more divisive designs. I really like both designs. He's another one that has sort of almost like a hockey aesthetic at times with his mask and the knee pads and everything, which a lot of people do not like, but I do. Um, I think his city design is a little more simplistic, so I'm going to put it in the inmates are running the asylum. But the Arkham Knight design, I think, brings out a little bit more of the religious aspects. He gets a much bigger cape. Those reds they made a lot deeper, and he still kind of retains that almost hockey player aesthetic that he does in the city, but it's more refined and a little bit more elegant, almost. This is going to be very divisive, I think, but I may make him my first S tier. There's just something about this. You also can't really see in this small thumbnail, but that sword that has all the kind of extra blades on the side, really freaking cool. Um, I may change him later, but for now, I'm gonna put him here. Deal with it. Next, we have Arkham Origins Bane. Now, Bane is one that, admittedly, never really been one of my favorite villains. I've never really been one for like the big brawler type of villain. I will say that Arkham Origins Bane definitely brings in some of the smarts, some of the logic, which I do like. He's very kind of cunning and ruthless versus just like a big animalistic beast. Um, Still, though, there's something is keeping me from really falling in love with him. As much as Tom Hardy's Bane has become kind of a joke with his voice like this. I like that. I like that. There's something kind of unique and fun about Bane. Otherwise, especially in the Arkham series where you have the Titans. As far as this version goes, and as far as really all of the assassins from Origins go, I do really like Bane. and he does put Batman through the ringer. So, trying to set my bias aside, I will put him in the A tier because he is really like the main villain of Origins in a lot of ways, and he is a big threat. The TN1 Bane, though, goes like right into what I was just saying, what I don't care for with Bane, which is just that like big animalistic brute. Um, Obviously, he is like overly jacked up on on Venom, Titan. He's not in his right mind. Don't do drugs, kids. Roid rage, all that. Still, like I get why it would make a good final boss. But he I don't know. He looks a little strange with his like one super huge side and one kind of big side. And from a boss fight standpoint, I know it's not entirely WB Montreal's fault, but he does kind of fall into the same category that Mr. Freeze fell into with the game prior, where he does learn from your methods, so you have to switch things up, which is cool. But at this point, it just kind of felt like we'd seen it before. So I'm gonna put this one here. I think I kind of want to put it here. Don't hate me, but it's not the worst, definitely. Next, we have Bane from Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. This one's an okay one. I do really dig the aesthetic that, especially the Arkham Asylum versions have, where they kind of made their prison uniforms into their villain uniforms. But this is, again, kind of that kind of classic, stereotypical Bane, where he's just kind of a big, hulking brute. I know he is being held against his will, so not entirely his fault, but I just really don't care for him. I also have to dock points because in Arkham City, this Bane cannot break out of a metal grate that you put him in, whereas in Arkham Asylum, he could bust through a brick wall. So, very uneven power. So he's going to be stinky smelly, because when you get that big, you're sweating. Next, we have Batgirl from the Matter of Family DLC. I really like this Batgirl. I know some people prefer their Batgirl with the hair not sticking out, but I do really like the gold accents on her boots, her gloves, the bat insignia here. Also, playing as her, something about it is very smooth compared to Batman. Um, I really dig the kind of carnival aesthetic from that DLC. I don't know if it's my favorite Batgirl look ever, but I do really like it, so I'm going to put her in the Batusi. Next, Arkham Origins Batman. And this may not be my favorite Batsuit, but it is up there. It's very similar to the Robert Pattinson Batsuit. Obviously, this one came first, but I do like that idea of a younger, more or less experienced Batman who needs a little bit more armor, a little bit more tactical gear, and so I do like the bulk of him on this one, just how kind of ruthless he is. Arkham Origins, I think, in a lot of ways, gets the short end of the stick, just because it kind of followed Arkham City, which is like the best superhero game of all time, some may say. I don't know if I would. It depends on the day of the week and how I feel. They're all very neck and neck, but this one I love. I think Exo suit from the Cold Heart DLC. This one's really cool. It's basically just the Arkham Origins design, but with more armor to it. He's got a cool face covering, and then those like heat pads. I think it is maybe a little bit overly bulky. I do always love a good kind of spin on the Batsuit, where like he covers his whole face and everything. And honestly, I would love, I think, to wear it around like a cold city. I live in New York, and here it gets very cold in the wintertime. I would love to take it for a spin, but seeing as how I cannot, I'll put it in B, because I do quite like it. Arkham Asylum Batman. This is, of course, like the most classic, I'd say. And this has a very special place in my heart because it is the first Arkham game. It may not be the flashiest. I do think, the Arkham City and the Arkham Knight Batsuits kind of improve on this, but this is very classic. It's very simple. I do like the longer bat ears on the cowl. I am someone who prefers not overly long bat ears, but I do like them a little bit longer. I like the very pointy kind of gauntlets. There's just something really nice about this. Whenever I see the Arkham Asylum Batman, it really kind of fills me with warmth. I am gonna put it in A. Do I dare put it above Origins? I think I'm going to. Just because it is so classic. Like, you could see this any old place, even removed from the Arkham games, and you would know that it is, like, classic Batman. You may not know that the Origins is, like, a young Batman per se. But this is just Batman at his best. Arkham City. This is tricky because it's very similar to the Arkham Asylum, but just a little more streamlined. I think he is a little bit more bulky in some areas. I think they shortened the blades on the gauntlet a bit. I think his utility belt is different, maybe the mask a bit. You'll have to forgive me. I didn't choose the best photos. And also, it's been a while since I've played all of them in sequence. On my replays, I'm still on Night, so I'm trying to remember. I do, of course, really like this one, but it feels a little too samey. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put him in B. It is a very nice, good bat suit, but maybe just a little bit plain. Yeah, I'm gonna move on before I regret that. Arkham Knight. Now, this may be divisive, but this might be my favorite bat suit. And I feel like, in a lot of ways, Arkham Knight gets an unfair advantage because it is such a graphically and visually different game than the other ones. Everyone else has more of like a comic-y aesthetic, whereas being on the PS4 at the time, this one had the benefit of being a lot more realistic, a lot more detailed. But I love this one. Of course, they are showing off a little bit with all the different panels. This one feels a lot more kind of tactical and has a lot more metal, a lot shinier. With the rain aesthetic, of course, you also get a lot more sheen, a lot more shine. And then, of course, being an older Batman, or at least a more kind of rock bottom Batman, there's just something about like the gruffness of it. He's getting old, and he might need a little bit more protection than he had previously, hence the metal. He's kind of at his wit's end. I really like Arkham Knight, even if it wasn't perfect in its execution. And I do think I'm gonna do it. He is going in vengeance. To me, Arkham Knight, Batman, he is vengeance. He is the night, and he is the moment. So being, the last mainline Arkham game with Kevin Conroy, we do not talk about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but that also gives it an extra kind of special place in my heart. Next, we have Bird from Arkham Origins. What is there to say about Bird? No, seriously, what is there to say about Bird? I never really, I didn't play Arkham Origins that long ago, and I'm still kind of struggling to remember what he did. He's a glorified henchman, really. Why did they name him Bird? He is one of Bane's henchmen, not Penguin's henchmen, I think, if I remember correctly. Maybe they're just sticking with the B names? I didn't really take Bane for like such an alliterative guy, but Bird is our first Harvey. No, Bird. Why? He's unfortunately forgettable, and I have forgotten already. Next, Black Mask from Arkham Origins. I do really like the Arkham Origins Black Mask. I like the white suit with Black Mask. I like the very stark difference between the mask. Something also very kind of pompous about like the white suit, especially with how savage he is, just kind of showing that he's not afraid to get dirty, really. Or also, if you do get him dirty, that he will demolish you. Poor Black Mask. As cool as he is kind of the Arkham series punching bag. Even though he seems to be the main villain of Origins, it of course turns out to be Joker in disguise. And the real Black Mask, a wimp, just kind of like a side character. In Arkham City, he's only a cameo at the very beginning. Then, of course, gets beaten up by the Tiger Guards. In Arkham Knight, the DLC, he's kind of back to this aesthetic, just gets like demolished by Red Hood, thrown out a window. Poor guy. So he really kind of looks like a wuss. Visually, he's very cool. I also have to knock him down a few pegs because for those of you who collect the Arkham figures, he has probably the worst Arkham figure. He's no articulation. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to put him in C. I do think there's a really cool version of Black Mask that we could get in an Arkham game that I don't think we've quite gotten yet. Next, we have Harvey Bullock from Arkham Origins, and this again, kind of like with Bird, he's a cameo. He's a glorified cameo. I do like that they got the same voice actor as the animated series. That really, he's got that instantly recognizable voice. He doesn't really do much. Do I put him here? I mean, he's definitely above Bird. Unfortunately, I think I have to put him in Harvey. No, because he is literally named Harvey. And he doesn't really do anything. He just kind of felt like he's just there. You know, he could have been anybody. Next, Aaron Cash. I like Aaron Cash. I can't remember. I think he was created for the games. I don't really remember seeing him in much else. It's odd because he almost kind of fills the Gordon role in a lot of ways, especially in that first game. He is kind of your go-to guy. You talk to him in times of need, you know, he gives you the rundown, all that. From like a moral standpoint, of course, he's very, very good. I kind of feel like they gave him a lot of Gordon's characterization, which I appreciate. You know, obviously I love Gordon, but it's nice to get new character. I wish he kind of did more, but it is nice having him as through line through all of the games. So I'm going to put him a B. Next, we have Catwoman, and I am just doing the Arkham Knight Catwoman just because her aesthetic doesn't really change that much between City and Night. I do really like this version. Obviously, playing as her boosts her up a bit. I do really like Gray DeLille's take on her. She's got that kind of nice, sultry, snarky, just fun feel to her. She feels very smooth as well in her play style, more so in Night, I feel. But the problem for me is that in Night, you don't really get to play as her much except in those Riddler areas. In City, you get to play as her a lot more, but her traversal is really not as smooth as Batman's. I do love Cats. She is fun, especially in the challenge maps. Next, Calendar Man. I like this take on him. I like that they kind of bulked him up a bit. Of course, he has the classic months around his forehead, almost burned into him or stamped into him versus like a tattoo, which I like. He's got a very kind of like creepy Hannibal Lecter-ish quality to him, which is cool, but he doesn't really do a whole lot. I appreciate in the City that, you know, you can go to him on all the different holidays and he has different dialogue, but the tease that they have for him didn't really pay off in Arkham Knight. And I get that, you know, the cast is so big in Arkham Knight that, you know, there couldn't work in everybody, as is, because he doesn't really do much. I'll put him in C because, you know, he's stinky up in that cell. I'll put him behind Origins Black Mask, but in front of City Black Mask. Arkham City Clayface. I like this Clayface. I love the kind of like skull aesthetic he's got. Obviously, he doesn't appear as like the big poopy monster until the finale, and I like what they did with him. Spoilers, of course, if you have not played Arkham City, even though it's been what 15 years ish. But I do really like that they had him pose as Joker. It's such a cool character detail. Like, of course, Basil Carlo would want to like play the ultimate role, the ultimate villain. I also really like his cameo in Asylum. A lot of people forget that he is in Asylum. Never in this form. Every time you return to the room, sometimes if you even just turn the camera away and then back, he appears as different characters. Very nice touch. So I think, gonna put him. I think I gotta put him in B. I do really like him, but he's just not quite in enough of it as himself. Taking a step back and like knowing that he is Joker in some of those scenes and seeing what he does with Joker and how well ultimately he plays Joker, I do like. I may have to put him above Batman. Do I put him above Azrael? I'll put him above Azrael, just because in City Azrael it doesn't really do much. Next, this is divisive. This is the Gotham Knights Clayface. Say what you will about Gotham Knights, I certainly do. I didn't hate the game. I didn't love the game. It's certainly not one that I feel the need to replay often. But I do really like Clayface. I like that they gave him a much bigger role than City. You know, they kind of give more of his powers a show. You get to chase him through the streets, you get to see him in all the different sizes and forms. I do really like the boss fight with him as well. I saved him for last, I think, so he was a little bit more difficult with the combat system learning as you go. In terms of the Gotham Knights villains, I think I probably liked him the best. I don't think I like him as much as City. Yeah, that is where I'll put him. He's a B actor, and B he shall be. Next is Copperhead from Arkham Origins. I like Copperhead. Each one of these games has that kind of trippy drug hallucination moment and character. You have Scarecrow, Mad Hatter, and Copperhead, of course, is one of those as well. Origins, I guess, has two, but I do like Copperhead. She's one from the comics that I'm not quite as familiar with, but I like what they did with her, and I like her boss fight, where you're hallucinating and you kind of have to fight off all the different fake Copperheads. I've only replayed Origins a couple times, but when I do, for whatever reason, she's the assassin that I seem to have the most trouble with. I don't know what it is. Maybe like I'm secretly tripping out when I fight her too. She's got a very simple aesthetic. There's really not much to her. I like the kind of punk hair and like the claws. A lot of the assassins from Origins, just because the cast is a lot bigger, they don't really get a whole lot of screen time. But in terms of the assassins, I really like her segment, as short as it is. So I think I'm going to put her at the beginning. No, I will move her up to B. Because again, she really is just a standout for me for whatever reason. Next, going back to Gotham Knights, we have the Court of Owls. I'm going to rank them as a whole, just because it would take too long to rank them. Otherwise, and this really kills me to have to do, I think I'm going to put them at C. I do like that, we got more kinds of talons in this one with like the big brutes. I don't really like the kind of sinewy, like acrobatic talons that we get in this. I like the more assassin talons from the comics. And of course, the head of the court, Jacob Kane and everything, it doesn't go anywhere. They kind of fall victim to what Hugo Strange and Black Mask and everything fall victim to, where they're touted as the main villain, but they really kind of end up being a secondary villain to someone else. Again, I think there is a very good Court of Owls game that could be made. I just don't think we got it. Oh, it kills me. Next we have Deacon Blackfire, who apparently is on a dating site here because he's not showing his face. Deacon Blackfire, again, there's really not much to say about him because his side quest is so short. It is cool that we got a kind of relatively deep cut from the comics, but he's just not in it enough to really make an impression. And of course, me being me and the religious trauma I have, I gotta put him in Harvey. No. He made more of an impression than Bird, and he's not quite as likable as Harvey Bullock, but he fell flat for me. I would have preferred someone else took his place. I think they could have worked Victor Zsasz into his role, even if they changed it up a bit. Next, we have Deadshot from Arkham Origins. I like this Deadshot. I love the winter aesthetic. Anytime they can kind of switch it up with the aesthetic, I really dig it. And I do think that an assassin like him would want to cover a bit more of his face. I'm gonna put him B. One of the things I like about Origins is the emphasis on the detective stuff. In Deadshot, most of his stuff is detective based. Again, you don't really see himself until the final boss, which I do like that to switch it up a bit. They made it a stealth mission, but he does get taken down so easily. Poor Deadshot. Deadshot from Arkham City. I do like that. Again, he kind of worked his prison outfit into his wardrobe here. Again, he gets taken down quite easily. I'm gonna put him in B. I think I like Aaron a bit more just because the through line. Again, I hate to keep saying it, but there is something really cool I think you could do with Deadshot beyond just like a stealth mission. I just don't think we've gotten it yet. Deathstroke. Everyone loves Deathstroke, don't they? I do think he has the best boss fight in Origins. It's very tense, very quick, kind of, what a realistic fight with any one of these villains would be. He's another one that when I play Origins, I have a really hard time with. I always get very close to dying. My reflexes ain't great. They're not Catwoman great. Of course, what they did with him in Night, he was basically just an afterthought. But his appearance, I think, is strong enough in Origins to kind of cancel that out. So I'm going to put him in Batusi. Next, we have Electrocutioner. Hey, this guy has become a meme. Obviously, he is a meme. The one punch and done fake out fight. Say what you will about it. I kind of like it. I love that there is that joke villain that talks a big game, gets the music going really loud, and then is just knocked out in one hit. Visually, I do really like his aesthetic as well. I like all the wires. Obviously, I love the fact that you get the electroshock gloves after he dies. Those electroshock gloves are very OP. They kind of make every encounter a little too easy. I can't put him too high, as much as I would love to. But I'll put him at the top of Jingle Bells, Batman Smells. Rest in peace, Electrocutioner. Next, we have Firefly from Origins. I like this Firefly. He hasn't reached kind of the silly levels that he does in Arkham Knight just yet. And I do like that they switch it up again with his boss fight in Origins. Origins, I do think, has the best boss fights. And I do love a good aerial villain. Batman doesn't have many aerial villains. I think I might him between the Clayfaces. Just like Gotham Knight's Clayface, I like that there are different phases to his fight. It's not just the same thing all the way through. I feel comfortable putting him there. Now, Arkham Knight Firefly, I get that they had to, work in ways to, use the Batmobile a bit more. I'm one of the few people who love the Batmobile. I do wish that we could have gotten at least one fight with him, like as Batman. And his voice, of course, is a little over the top in Arkham Knight. You get a lot of the talking like this, which obviously, given that he is like burned head to toe, I can kind of get that his vocal cords are messed up. I do like the bit more like beef jerky exposed skin on this one, but I think prefer him in Origins. I'll put him at the end here. Yeah, because I definitely like Copperhead more. I'm adjusting as I go, as you can see. This feels right. Next, we have Gordon. I don't know. I'm torn on Gordon. Obviously, he gets his largest role in Arkham Knight, which is why I have the Arkham Knight version here. I do, of course, love Tom Kane as Gordon in Asylum and City versus, Jonathan Banks from Breaking Bad as him in Night. And then I did quite like him in Origins as well. But again, he kind of takes a back seat, oddly enough. Even in Origins, where he has probably his biggest role, he's really not in it until the second half. They've really kind of replaced him with Cash and then later Montoya. But he is still, good old classic Gordon. Don't know if I love him enough to put him in A. He's missing a little something something. But I do, when they focus on him, I do really like what they do with him, especially his interactions with Barbara later on. Harley Quinn, and we have a lot of Harley Quinns. She is, the only one to appear in all of the games, I think. I am admittedly getting a little Harley Quinned out, a little Harley fatigue. There's nothing I can do about that. This is the Matter of Family DLC, and this is, of course, the classic Harley Quinn look. And I like it. It's not very interesting. Obviously, we've seen it before. I don't love that it's like latex as well. I think if it was like a fabric, it could have worked a little better. Obviously, I get that it is for the sex appeal, the ooh la la factor. I'm gonna put her above Red Hood Arkham Knight because it's kind of a similar thing where it's not the most interesting version of her. Arkham Asylum Harley Quinn, I like what they did with her here. Again, obviously it's kind of like a little overly sexy, but I do like that, they made her a nurse for the asylum for Joker. I bet they're kind of kicking themselves because they really could have used the nurse aesthetic with the infected Joker from Asylum. But I do really love this one. It is classic Harley Quinn, especially because it has Arlene Sorkin, the original voice actress, rest in peace. And I think she's used just enough in Asylum where she's not too overly grating as she can be, I think, later on. Arkham City Harley Quinn, again, I might be in the minority, but I like the kind of biker aesthetic. I do think that, if Harley got a little bit more freedom, this is probably what she would do. She'd wear something that made her feel kind of powerful, but also, was skimpy enough to please Mr. J. I'm not the biggest fan of Tara Strong's Harley. I do think in City, it's probably the best version of her that we get before her voice gets kind of overly squeaky and fried and everything. It's a nice balance between Arlene Sorkin and her own version, but I still don't love it. I mean, nothing can compare it to Arlene Sorkin. The Harley Quinn's Revenge is basically just a palette swap of the Arkham City one, but I kind of like this one better. I like that morning aesthetic that she's in after the Joker dies. So I'm going to put her here. I think the runny mascara and the veil and everything really adds a lot to her. She still has the same color aesthetic, but I do like the prevalence of the black here. I think it really changes something for her. And then we have Arkham Knight Harley Quinn, and this is kind of a mix of City and Asylum, and I do really like this one. Again, I think it's a little unfair because of the realism. Obviously, you can have more details. There's a bit of a charm to this one. She's a bit of a mess because of the mix of everything, but it makes sense from a story's perspective. It's after the Joker died, she's on her own for the first time, becoming more of a singular threat. She's still kind of a hot mess, hence the mishmash of everything. This is also where the kind of overly ditzy vocal fry Harley Quinn came in, which I don't love, but I think I'll put her right in between both. We have Gotham Knights Harley Quinn, and this is kind of the new age Harley that the Telltale series did as well, where she's kind of a more singular entity aside from the Joker. I like her personality well enough that she's, more strong, more assertive and everything. I kind of like what they did with her with, talk show therapy thing. That's become a thing for her recently in comics and stuff. Of course, I like the voice actor, admittedly, a little bit more than Tara Strong. I hate to say it, but I think I'm going to put her here and then move this one down a bit. Yeah, this feels right. Because she does really take a back seat in Arkham City and doesn't really come into her own until Harley Quinn's Revenge. Hugo Strange. This is one. I'm sorry to say it, guys. I know Hugo Strange is a very popular villain. I really don't care for him. He is, after all, just a guy. I do really love Corey Burton as Hugo Strange. I do think Corey Burton adds gravitas to any role he's in. If you're going to hear any of these villains in your ear for the whole game as you hear him, you would want it to be the sultry tones of Corey Burton. But ultimately, he does just kind of fall flat for me. And again, he's kind of that fake-out villain where he just doesn't amount to much. He talks a big game, and he does have a big effect on things. Ultimately, he takes a back seat to Raish. Hush. And this is a tough one. I do really love Hush overall. It's still weird for me to see Hush outside of the Hush comic, oddly enough. I think just because, how popular the Hush comic is, how much of an impact it had. I'm still not really used to seeing him in other things. And as much as, he could have turned out cool in the Arkham games, he just really doesn't amount to much. The only time he really looks like this is at the end of Arkham Asylum for, 60 seconds maybe? Because before that, he has the whole face-stealing arc, which is kind of cool, very reminiscent of Professor Pig. But then you see him like this, and then he reveals himself as Bruce Wayne, and then in the third one, you never see him in the Hush get up. You see him as Bruce, and you take him down lickety-split. So it just feels like, if they were going to use Hush, I really would have preferred they save him for something else. So this kills me to do, but he just really fell so flat for me. He could have been, I think, any other villain, and it would have worked essentially the same. They could have had him be Professor Pig and have be more of a through line. Or Hush. Hush. No. And then we get to El Joker himself. And I mean, what can you say about the Joker that hasn't been said? Starting with Arkham Origins Joker, I do really like this, and I admire Troy Baker for taking on the monumental task of following in Mark Hamill's footsteps. It is not easy. Between him and Tara Strong, the next generation of voice actors for these iconic characters, I definitely prefer Troy to Tara, as much as I love Tara. He is, at the end of the day, kind of just doing a proto Mark Hamill impression, but it works because, this version becomes this version. Of course, it is not as good as Mark Hamill's, but it's still a damn good Joker. I'm going to put him in A. And of course, the GOAT of all time, the Joker baby himself. I would be torn to shreds if I put him in anything other than B, of course. No, I'm kidding. Can you imagine? I would commit seppuku myself. You wouldn't even have to come for me. He is so good. I mean, I love Mark Hamill. He is every bit as much as the Batman franchise as Kevin Conroy. And it breaks my heart, of course, that we're not going to get any more of either of these guys. But I understand why. I mean, you cannot have one without the other. It just doesn't work. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. What? Anyway, Lucius Fox. He is in Knight and Gothamites, I believe. And I like him. He doesn't really end up leaving much of an impression. He kind of fills the same role as Oracle and Alfred, where he's kind of just there to, dispense information, dispense some gadgets. But I'm glad they included him. I'll put him in C. I like the guy, but at the end of the day, he's not as interesting as any of the villains. Killer Croc. This is another one that we get a nice kind of through line. Arkham Origins Killer Croc, you don't get a whole lot of. He is the intro boss, which means, he's kind of going to get nerfed right out of the gate. I dig the kind of like old-timey gangster vibe with, the wraps and then the pants with the suspenders. I like that you can kind of tell that his mutation hasn't quite progressed as much as it has in the later games. So he has more of like a humanoid feel to him. I'm going to have to probably put him in C, though. He is essentially just like this game's version of the Brute, Banacide. He's also maybe arguably the least interesting of the assassins, or he gets the least amount to do anyway. Arkham Asylum Killer Croc. This one is really cool. I like this one. His section in the sewers, very cool. Obviously, one of the most beloved parts of the game. And even though he is big and brutish and animalistic like Bane can be, I like him. I'm gonna put him in A, just because he forces you to kind of switch things up. You really have to pay attention. It is one of the best scenes in the game. Very tense, very cool. Yeah. 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 Okay, now we're cooking. Cool. And then Arkham Knight, Killer Croc. I dig it. I really like this kind of more freakish mutant version. Obviously, you don't get a whole lot of him. He's relegated to the DLC and then one of the challenge maps. I wish we got a little bit more of him, but I do quite like the aesthetic. It's very different for a Killer Croc. So I'm going to put him in B, I think. If they gave him a little bit more to do, or if they made the DLC a little bit longer, I think he could be a little higher. Next, we have Mad Hatter. And this is another one that seems to be very divisive. A lot of people don't like how small he is, or how creepy, pervy he is. Personally, I think Peter McNichol does a very good, very creepy, slimy, pervy Mad Hatter. Every time I see him in the comics now, I think of Peter McNichol. And I do appreciate that, he becomes kind of the Scarecrow of the games that Scarecrow is not in. He gets those hallucination moments, especially in Origins, where you get like the storybook aesthetic. Origins and Night, I should say. He just has really stuck with me for whatever reason. I'm going to put him... You know what, guys? I'm going to throw a wrench in things. I'm going to put him in A. I like this version. I don't know what it is. I like, obviously, the creepy guys, and he is just very creepy to me. I like the Night and City version a little bit more than the Origins version. I like the kind of like stitched together patchwork version of this one, whereas Origins is a little bit more of like classic Mad Hatter. So he gets knocked down a bit. I might put him right behind Copperhead. As much as I like his level in this, it is very similar to Night. Kind of like what they did with her a little more. Man-Bat. This one surprised me. I really like this Man-Bat. Obviously, you get the jump scares, which is a nice touch. But I really like this kind of in-between transformation look. I love the fact that they kept all the like IVs and everything sticking out of him. He has kind of the half human, half bat face, versus like the animated series where he's more of a true animal. Also, fun fact, he's voiced by Lauren Lester, who was Robin in the animated series. Obviously, you're not going to get a whole lot of like characterization with someone like Man-Bat, but I do like what they did with him. He gets that tragic story. His wife, of course, and the tease at the end. Maybe, we'll see a female Man-Bat somewhere down the road. Next, we have Mr. Freeze, another one who gets a lot of appearances. First, Arkham Origins. And I like this one. I like that they gave him his own dedicated DLC. You get a little bit more time with him. You get the Arkham version of his backstory. Though you can't tell from this very bad screenshot, he gets more of kind of like a prototype suit in this one. Not quite like the techie, like super cold reliant Freeze from later on. I like it. It's going in B, I think. A lower B. Just because he's not quite like the Mr. Freeze that we know and love. Arkham City Mr. Freeze. I mean, this one I think would have to go up here. I love that, they made him, or they kept him that kind of anti-hero. Obviously, he set the bar in terms of boss fights and adaptive boss fights as well. He learns from your attacks. Can't use the same ones twice. And then you get to, keep talking to him afterwards. I like that they didn't just relegate him to that one part of the story. Arkham Knights. Again, he's relegated to the DLC, so you don't get as much time with him. And a lot of his portion is, again, the Batmobile part. It's a nice kind of bittersweet end to his story. I kind of put him right up with Arkham Origins. They're very similar for me. Then we have Gotham Knights Freeze, and this one, of course, is very divisive. This one's more of like the Batman Beyond Freeze, where he's a lot more tech reliant. barely even human, you could say. Big ol' freeze gun, big ol' freeze spider bot thing. I like this version. I like that, he changes the overworld when you go to fight him. He makes everything snow. He's. I don't. I wish they give him a bit more like emotion, like they did with the other ones. He's kind of just more straightforward evil. I'm gonna move him down. I'm sorry. I do really like him, and he looks cool. But Nightwing, I do like this version. The very sleek kind of armor. He's a nothing character in City. He's just in the DLC. He doesn't talk. In Knights, I like him. You can see why he left, why he went to Bloodhaven, but his story beats are so like few and far apart. You only really play as him in either the challenge maps or in the swappable combat. I get that he's not the focus of the story, but I wish, especially for the last one in the series, they used him a little more. Oddly enough, I do kind of like him a bit more in Gotham Knights. Nissa Al Ghul. I like that they included her. A for effort. She gets gold star. That school mentality. You got to bring enough for the whole class. You got to include Nissa as well if you're going to include Talia and Raish. But she's such a small character. She comes in at the end of the Raish DLC, and it really just feels like they used her because they couldn't use Talia. So while it's cool that we got a Nissa, she could have been anyone. She could have been just a random ninja. But I'll put her at the top. She's probably a D more so than an F. If they'd done literally anything with her, I can't remember if she's in the beginning of the DLC. If she is, I don't know, give her a couple extra points. But otherwise, Oracle. Just like with Asylum, they switched up the voice actor because she had a bigger part. I wish they would have kept Kimberly Brooks. I liked her, but she does play a nice part. I mean, she's like classic Oracle in Night. And, she comes off a little damsel in distressy. I do like what they did with her with Fake Out Death. I thought that was kind of cool. But no good putting her here. I'll put her with her dad. She's obviously a very important character to the story, but just not the most interesting. Penguin, another through line. Penguin's never been my favorite. I do like some interpretations of him. I really like the Arkham City version. Nolan North, I think, he played him fun, giving him the Cockney accents. Origins, I don't know. I could take him or leave him. He's just like, a glorified kind of thug gangster in that one. Yeah. Arkham City, I do admittedly love the detail of giving him the broken bottle as the monocle. I think that's a really cool touch. The voice box, I think, is cool. Like, he's very slimy. Not quite as slimy as DeVito. Okay, I'm gonna put my bias aside. Like, he's obviously one of the bigger villains of City. I'll put him lower A tier. He's not as memorable for me as Mad Hatter. And then Arkham Knight. I mean, he's like a less interesting version of this one, kind of. More realistic, but he doesn't have the cool coat. Relegated to like one small DLC. So I'm going to bump him down a bit. He shall go here. Yeah. Next we have Professor Pig. I like Professor Pig. Again, he's spooky, he's creepy, he's slimy and weird and gross, but there's just no one like Professor Pig. He's such like a cuckoo bananas bonkers villain that like you just have to kind of appreciate him. Who else like does plastic surgery on themselves, wears a broken pig mask, sings opera? Oof, I'm sorry guys, you're gonna hate me, but I'm gonna put him up here. It's a small role. And his friggin' like Crocs, his yellow Crocs, so stupid, but I love him. And I love, one of my favorite parts about Arkham Knight is that after you defeat them, you can take them to the lockup and keep talking to them. And seeing like how even the other villains are afraid of Professor Pig. It's just like you gotta respect him. He's the goat. He's the pig. Quincy Sharp. I hate this guy. Obviously, I mean, he's not supposed to be a likable guy, but man, talk about just like a total D bag. As like a technical big bad, I mean, I gotta bump him up a bit, but he's really only important in Asylum, and then in City, he's kind of a nothing birder. Yeah. He's a small character. We've seen what we've seen of him, and I'm okay never seeing him again. Raish, specifically Arkham City Raish. This is like a good Raish. I like this version of him. I like that he's a bit more like combat heavy. Not that I don't like the regal suited Raws Raish of the comics, but I like this one, the one who isn't afraid to get down and dirty. And he gets, the Scarecrow hallucination sequence of Arkham City. I'm gonna put him in A, I think, because as kind of the technical big bad of City, he does leave an impression. I'm gonna put him there. We have Gothamites Raish. I do really kind of dig the armor. It's a shame we never got to like fight him directly, but I will say in terms of like fights throughout the whole series, I know the Gotham Knights is not like Arkham proper, but it is, I'd say, one of the cooler fights, and the fact that it opens the game, like it's the first thing you see, and he does technically kill Batman. Spoilers. Gotta give him props for that, but it's just such a small appearance. I'll put him here with his Gotham Knights counterpart. And then Arkham Knight. There's something about this one. Obviously, he's a shell of his former self. He's just withering away. But I like that storyline. I like that they kind of took him down that route where he's just been resurrected so many times that he's just losing all humanity. And he does give you like the opportunity for a really interesting moral question as Batman. Do you save him? Do you let him die? So just from that alone, I think I gotta bump him up to B. Like regardless of what you choose, it's a cool send off for the character. I'm gonna put him here. Yeah. Let's go like Cash. Ratcatcher. I have not played Arkham Shadow. I've watched the walkthrough, and I wish that we could have gotten like Ratcatcher proper, like seeing him like Killer Croc in the sewers with the legion of rats and everything. But we see him already captured. He's kind of like the informant for the game, so a little underwhelming. But I would love to see him or a different version of Ratcatcher come back in another Arkham game and get like a proper encounter with him where you have to like outrun thousands of rats. I think that would be really cool. Red Hood, specifically Arkham Origins Joker. I don't know. I mean, this is basically just the Joker, or it's Red Hood over the Joker's aesthetic, which I can't quite tell if like that's what he was really wearing or if it's just they did that to show you that it's the Joker. It's not my favorite look for him, but it's cool that you got to play as him through that whole little story section. Red Hood from Night. I kind of dig this. He keeps the broken Arkham Knight mask, but then kind of goes into like that cool punk jacket. I dig the hood. He does actually have like a red hood. He's like so kind of over the top angsty though. Yes, it's a nice foil to like Batman's methods. I don't know, it's a bit too much, but I do like it that you get to pew pew some villains. Renee Montoya, again, it feels like they just kind of took the Gordon role away from Gordon, but for who she is, and she provides some nice moments of emotion and levity, and I like that they give us another strong female character. I don't know, I can't put her above C, I don't think. I'm sorry, but I do, of course, like her more than Quincy. Go screw yourself, Quincy. Riddler, or Arkham Origins Enigma. This is not the Riddler. This is Question Man. Question Man. And as such, he's just not very interesting. Arkham Asylum Riddler. Obviously, you don't see him in the game, you only hear him. This, I guess, obviously is what he looks like. I love. I mean, of course, as a non-appearance character, you have to go off the voice. And Wally Wingert has, I think, become my favorite Riddler. He has that pompousness, that arrogance to him. I'm gonna put him in A. No, I'm gonna put him in B, a high B, just off the performance alone. The Arkham City Riddler, I think I will put in A. I like the jigsaw aspect to him. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but he had to take a step up from just the Riddler trophies. Again, he's kind of relegated to a screen until the end, but I like what they did with him, where he has his hideouts. He's got that kind of a dirty, grimy, grungy video stream, and he just taunts you. Like, he makes the most sense as like a video only character because he just loves to taunt. Arkham Knight Riddler, Mechanic Riddler, very divisive. I didn't mind it so much. You get like the progression where like Arkham Asylum, he has just the trophies, then he has the Jigsaw, and then he has like the over the top Batmobile Jigsaw, and then the giant mech at the end. Like he becomes like an anime villain essentially. But still, like Wally Wingert, man, does such a good job, I think, that I can't not like him. I'm gonna put him in kind of a middle low B. Arkham City Robin, a glorified cameo. I do love the hood. Nice switch up for Robin. I'm gonna put him here, right there. Arkham Knight. I'd like the kind of upgraded costume. I like that they worked a bit more green into it. Green is very Robin. Not everyone loves the shaved head, obviously. I still wish they would have kept the hood. I know he can't wear it all the time. I like him. I like this one a little bit better. I don't mind the relationship between him and Barbara. He is very angsty. He's kind of bordering on Nightwing territory, but I like him. If they're gonna have a Robin, I'd prefer it be something like this. Then we get into Scarface. This is Scarface from Gotham Knights, and I know you can barely see him. I hate this Scarface. I only included this one just to say how much I hate it. Go look him up if you can. He is way too big. He's like a Goosebumps villain. I don't like it at all. Yeah, he's going there. You know what? No, he's going under Bird. Bird gets a slight step up. Then we have Arkham Asylum. This is a nice Scarface. I like this Scarface in that he's a little rough. You can tell that he was carved. He's not smooth, kind of makeshift. I do like that the Joker kind of adopts him, and then in Harley Quinn's Revenge, he gets painted all up like a little baby Joker. He in those first couple games, he's another through line, a nice fun little Easter egg that they keep throwing in there. Because he's not really a character himself. He's just kind of manipulated. I'm gonna put him here. Then we have Woody from Arkham Shadow. Again, as like the proto Scarface. But I do like that they toy with that idea of like, is he really like a possessed doll, or is it all in Wesker's head? There's that one scene where he like talks back to Wesker. Very cool. I'll put him here. Sorry, Woody. And then, of course, my guy, the Scarecrow. And of course, I'm biased. The Arkhamverse is a good verse to be a Scarecrow fan in. He is kind of like the overarching villain for the saga. He's the main villain of Arkham Knight. Despite what people may say, people might say it's the Arkham Knight. I say it's Scarecrow. He's kind of the catalyst for Two-Face becoming Two-Face. He has a big role in the story. Arkham Shadow, obviously he's not like Scarecrow proper. He's mostly without his mask the whole time. I like Elijah Wood's take on him. There is that arrogance, that kind of pompousness, holier than thou quality. You definitely see it's a nice first step of like who he becomes later. You can see how this version kind of loses his mind, becomes this version, and then gets torn to shreds and becomes this version. But because of just kind of how little he does, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying not to let my bias get the best of me. I do think he's a B tier because you only see him in this mask at the very, very end. But I like that hallucination sequence. I'll put him here. I want so badly to put him up there, but I'm gonna be honest. Now, Arkham Asylum Scarecrow, oh baby, these two versions are very much neck and neck for my favorite. And this one, I know people love the Arkham Asylum version. Dino Andrade, I think, does a very good version of Scarecrow. You don't often get that kind of like maniacal Scarecrow, whereas it works so well here. And his segments in the game are just so awesome. I mean, it made me such a happy camper back in the day when I first played it, where he has the hallucination sequences, where he has the fake game crash. I mean, he really was the star of the show, other than, Batman and Joker. I mean, he's the one that everyone, I think, kind of talked about. And I love the sort of Freddy Krueger glove. I love the hood. I love that he still has kind of his prison outfit. You see his kind of hidden layer underneath, so he's kind of like a step above the typical prison uniform. It's so cool. But as much as I love that one, for me, Arkham Knight Scarecrow might be my favorite Scarecrow of all time. I mean, not only is it visually just so cool, the realistic style obviously lends itself so well to Scarecrow. You get to see all like the grotesque, details with his missing skin and his teeth. I love all the extra canisters and how they kind of like upgraded his Freddy Krueger glove to just like a Wolverine glove, kind of. John Noble, I think, is such a perfect Scarecrow. He has that menace to him, that rasp. And even though he is kind of relegated to the screen villain and the in-your-ear villain, you do see him enough throughout the story, and he manipulates enough of the game's events to really make an impression. I mean, he is the one that leads to Batman's downfall. I mean, he's the one that breaks Batman and makes him take off his mask. And while, yes, do hate admittedly that they kept bringing Joker back, as much as I love Joker, I could have done with a little bit less of him in Night. But then I remember that, it's because of Scarecrow. So for me, he's going in S. I will move Azrael down. Visually, I love Azrael, but he's a small character. But this is still probably my favorite Azrael. Next, we have Lady Shiva. For the record, I mean, I could keep going on about Arkham Knight Scarecrow all day, but I won't. I will admit, even though I could easily put him in the top spot, I mean, you can't beat Batman and Joker. Lady Shiva. I like Lady Shiva. She's probably the assassin from Origins that leaves the least impression. I really wish they would have. They could have put her in Nissa's role in Night, and I think it really could have boosted her a bit, given her a nice little conclusion. Because, she says, hey, I'll see you again, and then she never does. But I like that she's not entirely a villain. She still has her morals. And I like her design. It's cool. I like the pops of red. Solomon Grundy. I like this version of Grundy. He is, of course, he's just a pawn to Penguin, essentially, but I love me some Grundy. I love the corpse. I love the electric feel of him, the blue. I'm gonna put him in A. I mean, I know not everyone loves what they did with him, that they did make him just kind of a big hulking brute, but yeah, it works for me. Poison Ivy. I like that they gave her a nice little arc through the series. I like her boss fight in Asylum. I kind of prefer the short hair to the longer hair, but this is a nice, good, classic Ivy, and I think she leaves enough of an impression, and she affects the overworld after you defeat her with the plants. She's going kind of high. Now, Arkham Knight, I really like what they did with her. I like her design change. I like the flowers in the hair. I like that they made her more of an anti-hero or a hero. I like that she played such an integral role in the plot. That was really refreshing to see. I'm gonna put her an A, I think. I'm gonna put her here. Right? I love her arc. I love her sacrifice, and I love that you get that little bit of hope at the end that she may come back. Again, we are not mentioning Suicide Squad, so as far as I'm concerned, her ending is in Night, and there's hope for her after that. Talia, in terms of Talia appearances, I like her more than Dark Knight Rises. Maybe not as much as the animated series. She's kind of just here to do her typical like, "Hey Batman, let's smash." But I like her, and I like her voice actress. I do think it's a shame that there's that she dies. I wouldn't say it's wasted potential. I do think she fulfilled her role. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotham Knights, Talia. I only included her because it's not often that she gets such a large role. She is essentially the main villain of Knights, which kudos for her. I dig the kind of everyday look that she wears throughout most of the game, but it's just kind of overly simple. I'll put her with her papa. I do really like the end armor look. Very much what I would kind of expect from like a regal taking over my father's empire kind of thing. But being a campy Batman villain, she still had to get all dressed up. The final fight is a little bit ridiculous, a little bit tougher than I would have thought. At least for me. I know for some people it isn't, but I like it. You don't often see Talia as like the main villain of things, so that was a nice surprise. Don't hate me, guys, but I'm gonna put her in B just because, as divisive as it is, what they did with her is fun and fresh. Two-Face. I'm only including Arkham Knight Two-Face just because he doesn't change that much throughout the series. He's basically the same in Arkham City, just a little less detailed, and then Arkham Shadow, he's freshly gooey. It would have been cool, if they had kept maybe his hair just to differentiate him. Much as I love the design, especially at Night with the more realistic look, very gnarly, but he gets the short end of the stick, poor Two-Face, in every appearance. He's barely in City, he's barely in Night, and yes, they did bring him back for the Robin DLC, but even still, I mean, he's up there with Penguin, where like Penguin has more of a role in the story, but poor Two-Face. But good for Troy Baker, getting that double paycheck maybe with Two-Face and Joker. Then the twins, the Abramovici twins, Hammer and Sickle. I'm doing these guys together because, come on, guys, they are meant to be together. They are cruelly separated, and then it's such a lovely kind of heartbreaking touch where you see them later sitting next to each other trying to put themselves back together. Obviously they are like the glorified thugs, the glorified brutes. I do probably prefer the aesthetic of Hammer a little bit more. I do like them, but because they are just glorified thugs. But they are Arkham originals. Put them high. I'm gonna put them high C, just because they obviously left an impression. Then we have Arnold Wesker. Ventriloquist is one of those ones that a lot of people really wanted to see, and they finally did him in Shadow, which was nice. He's not like full ventriloquist mode. He's very endearing, very charming. Poor Arnold. Obviously, he committed a very horrible, heinous crime, but there's that childlike quality to him that's kind of heartbreaking. I wish he had a little bit more to do, but because it's a VR game. I'm glad we finally got him, but do a whole lot. I'm gonna put him here just because of how much I love him. He warms my heart. And then last but not least, Victor Zsasz. The Zazzy Zaz himself. I like him most in City when he gets the kind of creepy like Zodiac killer phone call thing. Not the most interesting side quest, just like going from point A to point B. But he is creepy, and any man who rocks those prison shorts as short as he does, I mean, you do not want to mess with him. It would have been nice to get one final appearance in Night, but it didn't pan out, and so he just kind of fizzles out. But I'll put him here just because he had a nice appearance in Asylum and City. Yeah, there we have it, guys. So just a quick rundown. In the S tier, we have Arkham Knight Batman, Mark Hamill Joker, and, the John Noble Arkham Knight Scarecrow. Batusi, A tier, Arkham Asylum Batman, Arkham Asylum Scarecrow, Alfred, Arkham Knight Azrael, Arkham Origins Bane, Arkham Origins Joker, Arkham City Free, who has a last minute upset. I'm gonna put him there. Deathstroke, Arkham City, Ra's al Ghul, Batgirl, Arkham Asylum, Killer Croc, Arkham Origins Batman, Catwoman, Arkham Asylum, Harley Quinn, Rest in Peace, Arlene Sorkin, Arkham City Riddler, Arkham City Mad Hatter, Arkham Knight Poison Ivy, Professor Pig, and Arkham City Penguin. And the inmates running the asylum, kind of the most average here. We have Arkham Asylum Riddler, we have Arkham Shadow Scarecrow, Anarchy, Gordon throughout all of his appearances, Oracle, Arkham Knight Robin, we have Arkham City Talia, Arkham Knight Man-Bat, Harley Quinn's Revenge Harley, Arkham Knight Harley, Arkham Knight, Arkham City Clayface, we have Arkham Origins Firefly, Arkham Asylum Poison Ivy, Gotham Knights Clayface, Arkham City Azrael, we have Copperhead, we have Arkham Origins Mad Hatter, Arkham Origins Deadshot, Arkham Knight Ra's al Ghul, Arkham Knight's Riddler, we have Solomon Grundy, we have Aaron Cash, we have the Gotham Knights Harley Quinn, we have the Arkham Knight Penguin and Two-Face throughout all of his appearances, the Arkham Origins XE Heat Suit, the Arkham City Batsuit, we have Arkham Origins Mr. Freeze, Gotham Knights Talia, Arkham City Robin, Arkham Knight Mr. Freeze, Arkham City Deadshot, Arkham City Harley Quinn, Arkham Knight Killer Croc, Arkham Knight Firefly, and Scarface. In Jingle Bells Batman Smells, you know what? I'm going to move the Abramovici twins up because they deserve some love. Those poor guys. Jingle Bells Batman Smells. We have Arkham Shadow Ratcatcher. Really, I would love to see more of Ratcatcher. We have the short-lived Electrocutioner, Lady Shiva, Lucius Fox, Nightwing. We have the Batgirl DLC, Harley Quinn. We have Hugo Strange. Sorry, guys. The Arkham Knight Red Hood, Arkham Origins Penguin, Arkham Origins Killer Croc, Arkham Origins Red Hood. We have the Red Hood Jason Todd Arkham Knight, Arkham Origins Black Mask, Renee Montoya. We have Victor Zsasz for all of his appearances, Arnold Wesker, Quincy Sharp, F.U. We have the Gotham Knights Mr. Freeze, Gotham Knights Raish, and Gotham Knights Talia. We have the TN1 Bane. We have Burn. This is the Batman and Robin Bane. We have Cannot Break Out of Metal Grating Bane. We have the Court of Owls. Again, this kills me, but what a missed opportunity. We have Calendar Man. We have Arkham City Black Mask. We have Enigma, and we have Woody. And then finally in Harvey. No. We have Nissa Al Ghul. We have Harvey Bullock. We have Hush. Again, this kills me. Deacon Blackfire. Bird. And we have the creepy, weird, uncanny Scarface. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this tier list. I know it's a little long, but hey, I had a lot to say, as always. Let me know your thoughts below. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will see you guys back here soon for more creepy collection content. But in the meantime, don't forget, stay spooky.